Hello, my name is Rick Brewer, and I'm here to talk to you about the school-to-prison pipeline and some of the systemic mechanisms that have led to systems of oppression for students of color throughout the United States of America. The United States of America has an education system that was built on the promise of free and appropriate education. However, our schools have been flooded with zero-tolerance policies on disciplinary action for these students of color. Let us go back to the Gun-Free Zones Act of 1994, where it began with the zero-tolerance policies. The Gun-Free Zones Act of 1994 was established to create a safer environment for students to attend schools. However, this act has been disproportionately enforced in communities of color, particularly urban schools, where there has been a high instance of gun violence in suburban schools. Essentially, these students of color are being punished at a disproportionate rate, which has led to what I call the school-to-prison pipeline. Public education in the United States provides an equal opportunity of access to the American dream. But what does this American dream really look like for a student of color? I've interviewed a young man who I believe is a victim of the school-to-prison pipeline, and I would like to hear what he has to say about his experiences with zero-tolerance policies.
Yeah, as for that, they had things called referrals, and then they had things called the pass room, then they had things called suspension.
Okay.
Which I was familiar with all three of those things, unfortunately to say.
Okay.
You get in trouble, you get a referral for talking back to a teacher or not listening or whatnot. You probably get sent to the pass room. You get sent to the pass room too many times, you get suspended. Too many times suspended, you get expulsion.
Okay.
Got to a little tussle and whatnot. So I got sent down to the office, and they was like, well, there's going to be a third suspension in the first semester. So that means we're going to have to expel you. So I got expelled. And that led me to a place called Emerson, which that was our alternative school. But when I got there, it was so small and so compact that you couldn't do it at a normal high school. I thought it did because it looked good on paper. But honestly, coming from a school going to that school, the curriculum was not as advanced, so it was pretty much like, this is very easy. I know all this. While other kids are struggling, this is easy to me because I've been doing this for years and it comes easy. So that's how I excelled at that school, because the curriculum wasn't really that good.
My interviewee discusses how he didn't have knowledge about some of the tools to gain access to free and appropriate education after high school. His post-secondary endeavors were cut short by his lack of knowledge that should have been gained during the secondary education round. His teachers, his advisors, didn't give him any information about how to access college or some of the ways to gain funds. All he was told was, just get a job after high school and you'll be okay. But what happens to that young man after you get that job after high school? And that job doesn't tend to be as lucrative as you thought it once was, or that job doesn't have the upward mobility that you were seeking initially. You turn to the streets.
But I didn't know. I didn't know nothing. I was lost. I thought if I get a job, I'll be cool.
Okay.
I thought, if I get a job, you're supposed to do, I gotta work. So if I get a job, I'll make it. That's what I thought. Yeah, I got a job, then I got fired. So it was like, shit, you fired now, so what you gonna do? Gee, mama told you grown, now you gotta figure it out. So now you fired without a job, you 18, 19, like, oh man, what am I gonna do now?
Okay.
And like I said, I didn't know anything about school. I didn't know anything about schooling. Like, I didn't know I can go down and sign up for CCD and get some money and get some education. I didn't know all that till years later. I was like, wow, I was lost. I didn't know. So I was just like, you get a job. And after that job failed, I was like, I was searching. I was on a quest to find what I should do to survive. After I lost that job in 2009, I took a path of selling drugs. I was hanging around people who was making money, hanging out with fish, and I was like, well, how do I get some of this? I want some new shoes, I want some money, I want some women, I want some drugs. I mean, I can't keep sitting around without nothing. So instead of me trying to continue the path of working man, I took the path of a drug dealer. I took the path of the street life.
Single parent homes. Let's talk about that. This is a non-nuclear family. That means just one parent in the household. For most cases with students of color, this means just a mother. The school to prison pipeline disproportionately impacts students of color who are males. So having a mother in the home to raise a male has played privy to this situation.
I got upset a lot was because I grew up in a household where I didn't have no father figure. I didn't have no father figure or no male figures in my life. In sports and all that, I never had the male figure to show me this is how you throw the ball, this is how you play basketball, this is how you do this. I never taught them to teach me. They never taught me how to this is how you dress, or this is how you respect women, or this is how you talk to people, or this is how you carry yourself. I never had that, you know what I'm saying? So deep down, when I was going through all this stuff in my life, I was like, I always had resentment towards my father.
So in closing, now that you've had an opportunity to hear a firsthand story from a student of color, has that changed your perspective or your perception of what happens on the school to prison pipeline? Are you ready to impact change in your community? If so, get started. Become knowledgeable about some of these mechanisms of oppression. Talk to your loved ones, talk to your students, talk to your community partners. There's something that we all can do in order to impact change. You don't have to be a person of color in order to make a change. This is for everybody. The school to prison pipeline is impacting our nation. We're spending more money on incarceration and less money on education. Let's make a change. Thank you for watching.